We are living in a digital world. So now we're going to have a really interesting test. At least it's my first time doing this. This is going to be fun. Our next speaker is actually not here, but he is on Zoom. But it's live, so it's going to work. Like, I have this hope. It's going to work. Internet's going to work. It's going to be there. And oh God, that's me. Okay. So our next speaker is Thomas Coulon from, and I think I butchered his name. I'm sorry, Thomas, from Meta Audience Network. And he's going to be talking about hyper-casual and casual success tactics. So it's really interesting. Hang in there. So are we ready?
Hello, everyone. So hopefully everyone can see the presentation all right. Can't really see you guys, but good afternoon. It's really great to be here. My name is Thomas. I've been a strategic partner manager with Facebook for about 2.5 years, and I help out European game publishers to successfully monetize their in-game advertising inventory. I hope you're enjoying the conference so far today, whether you digitally or here in person. Myself, I'm based in London, but unfortunately, company policy limits in-person attendance, so you'll have to do with a digital image of myself. So today, I'd like to touch up a little bit on the hyper-casual and casual games, two genres where we've seen a massive disruption in the past few years. We all know it's been a very challenging a few years in the space. It's very crowded, and there's loads of games that are very similar. User acquisition costs are going through the roof. But with challenges come opportunities, and we're really starting to see a big shift in the industry into a new genre we're calling hybrid casual. And so we'll touch up a little bit on that throughout this presentation. So without further ado, let's get started. So to start, we're going to take a macro view of the mobile gaming industry, highlighting some key trends, as well as some key challenges that we've been facing in the past few years. Then zooming in more closely, we'll look at some best practices for monetization that some of the hyper casual and casual game developers have been following in recently. We'll also take a look at the key elements that are making the hybrid casual genre so popular in the past few months. And finally, we'll finish up with a simple checklist of steps you can take to get started today. So let's begin with a look at the current state of the mobile gaming industry. As I said, we all know there's been so many challenges in the past few years, right? Whether it's privacy directives from governments or countries like California or Europe with GDPR, or whether it's new rules imposed by the likes of Apple's with the new ATT framework under iOS 14.5, all of these are severely restricting access to user identifiers. So all of that is challenging the way we're currently looking at monetization, user acquisition, and measurement, right? It's disrupting all our businesses, all your businesses. And you've had to spend so much time in the past few months and years to adapt to these, right? To ensure your business is compliant with these new rules, to ensure that you're building something sustainable on top of it. And all of that is just taking so much time away from what you do best, right? Which is creating great games and amazing games. But looking at it from the glass half full point of view, it's important to also consider that it also means it's now a level playing field for everyone and a solid privacy first framework on which you can build an even more sustainable business moving forward, setting yourself for growth again. And what a growth analyst are forecasting for the next couple of years, actually. Almost $200 billion worth of in-app purchases and in-app ads revenue forecasted for 2023. And that's what, next year, right? That's 24% more than in 2021, which was just a few months ago. It's really encouraging to see that revenue growth, and it hasn't stopped post-pandemic as well. And in fact, download levels have remained strong ever since March 2020. They've grown massively, and they remained at that level ever since. In the first half of 2021, consumers spent $1.7 billion per week on in-app purchases on mobile games. And that's up 40% from pre-pandemic levels. So as you can see, the industry and players are really growing, and people are spending more and more into mobile games. It's becoming something much more popular than it was before. And we're seeing this across all genres, right? All genres are growing. But one that's growing the most in terms of installs is hypercasual, with installs of over 60% year on year, which is absolutely massive. Other growing genres include simulation and lifestyle with 57% and 52% respectively. So these, again, are really encouraging. So let's take a closer look at how the hyper-casual and casual games can successfully leverage this growth with the right techniques moving forward. So the first thing to consider here is, how are the ads going to fit within your game? And that's extremely important, and you should consider this as early as possible within the development. Don't worry, because once this is figured out and you found the optimal frequency and entry points for your ads, then there's technologies like header bidding, which can pretty much automate and maximize the eCPM and the yield you get from these placements. For display ads, try and limit any negative experiences from users. We all know that too well, right? Too many ads, it's just not a great experience. And so this mostly happens with interstitial ads. On the other hand, we try and leverage formats like rewarded video that really boost engagement and retention within the game. These two formats are really the bread and butter of in-app ads, and they bring the greatest CPMs, but they also need to be approached carefully. So when considering rewarded video, it's important to think about A/B testing everything that you're doing, including the integration points. A few elements to consider are value exchange, design innovation, and the entry points as well. And those entry points can be very different depending on the genre of the games that you're running, right? For hyper-casuals, sometimes user churn when a level is too difficult, or when they don't want to make a purchase, or to unlock new gameplay. And that's exactly when you should be leveraging those rewarded videos to provide the users with what they want to progress and to continue playing your game. With casual, you've got many other exciting options where you can blend the reward mechanism straight within the gameplay, like having a play button to boost the output of a new farm, or to speed up the creation of a new army. So in addition to finding the right entry points, it's essential to consider the frequency at which you're showing ads. And again here, A/B testing is absolutely mandatory. For display ads, you need to find the right balance between user experience, retention, and revenue. Think about average session length. How long does it take to do a level? If your levels are 15 seconds or less, you're not going to show an interstitial at the end of each. Otherwise, it would create a very negative user experience. On the other hand, if your levels or your gameplay is 45 seconds or a minute, then the users might understand very well the trade-off between getting content for free and being shown some ads. And they understand that that's actually sponsoring the gameplay. And there's also something about that is fewer ads sometimes means the traffic is actually higher quality, because users interact much more with the ads when there's less of them, because they do understand that trade-off. And so you might yield better eCPMs and better revenue from showing fewer ads than if you're showing more ads. So carefully think about that. For rewarded video ads, consider the value exchange a user gets from watching an ad versus making a purchase. And there's loads of examples out there, but you don't have to use the same currency for your rewarded video ads than you do for your IAP. And in fact, the two can work together sometimes. The rewarded video can unlock a booster that the IAP cannot, but yet you're not giving away valuable currency via the rewarded video that paying users would then complain about. And the great thing about the ads and the IAP's two monetization techniques is that you can actually make them complementary. A hybrid model means you're monetizing both your paying and non-paying users and diversifying your revenue stream. You're not leaving any money on the table here. We all know a great proportion of players just never spend within the game. And having that is really essential. Having ads is really essential to sponsor the content of that game and to keep the user engaged. On the other hand, you need to consider very carefully what experience you want your few paying users to have and whether you want to show them any ads at all. And I've seen instances where paying users are complaining that they're not getting ads, right? I hear that from clients all the time. And so if you've got an online community, do watch out for that sort of feedback, because paying users sometimes do like those rewarded videos because it unlocks things that they don't really necessarily have access to through purchases. So be very careful about that. More and more devs are considering adding IAPs to their revenue mix. And that's great, right? It's really great, but it needs to be complemented with the introduction of new innovative content or new gameplay, things that the users can engage with that would justify making a purchase. And a trend we're seeing in that space is the rise of meta gaming elements. Traditionally, casual games, hyper-casual games, they're monetizing the core gameplay, monetizing the core game. But in recent months, we're seeing them integrate a lot of metagaming elements that traditionally we'd see in more mid-core games. And that's creating an experience that users love. They can be things like collectibles, stickers, styling elements, things to make your characters unique, or upgrading mechanics like special powers. And they can actually provide additional depth to the game and keep those players engaged for longer and more motivated. Which takes us to the next part. What is the hybrid casual genre, right? I keep talking about it. So most hybrid casuals have a number of things in common, usually found in more mid-core types of genre. And it starts with the game design itself, a well-balanced economy to start with, right? They call that, the jargon is balancing sinks and taps, ensuring that the right balance of scarcity for your currency, ensuring there's the right amount of supply and demand, that pinch point where players are concerned about the currency, where it's not too scarce, but it's not too much in supply either. Another element is progression, right? Ensuring that there's enough progression perspective for the users to play and invest long term. Are there innovative ways to boost, to get special boosters, or running promotions in order to get users to engage with new content, new levels, new gameplay? Consider all of that. And lastly, we'd recommend approaching your in-app purchases monetization points around what we call the 4 C's. And these are content, convenience, competitive advantage, and cosmetics. So let's deep dive into each of these right now. The core idea here is really to understand the player motivations, what keeps the players coming back to the game and spending, right? So the 4 C's are monetization points that increase the long-term retention and revenue from the players. Starts with content. You want to provide additional gameplay, such as quests, maps, characters, things that users get excited about, right? That they want, that creates this new concept. The second is cosmetics. You want to sell items that allow users to distinguish themselves, to differentiate themselves within the gameplay. And that's extremely popular these days. A lot of players are really keen to spend and to have a unique character with unique clothes or unique powers, right? The third one is competitive advantage. You can be selling something that would give the spender a distinct advantage within the game. But be very careful, because if your non-paying users suddenly realize that paying users have so much of an advantage that it's not worth continuing to play the game, then it would pretty much mean that you're losing a big user base from there. So again, balancing it out is very important, and A/B testing is again the key here. And lastly, convenience. And the idea behind convenience is to be able to assist your users into getting what they want. And here the word assist is very interesting. It's very important, because you don't want to give your users what they want right now, because else they might lose interest. What's important is to helping them reach their goals faster, right? Getting access, getting them to buy something that then gets them to reach their goal faster, And that just means they're going to play for longer, they're going to keep engaged, and they might be spending more on the way as well. So that's creating a lot more engagement and excitement from the user base. Right, so let's do a quick recap here. Hypercasual and casual games are showing incredible growth. Publishers are adding new features to the games, and that's creating this new hybrid casual genre that we're starting to see, really exciting. And to monetize that genre, you really need to consider that balanced monetization mix, right? How are you going to juggle between in-app purchases and you paying users and in-app revenue, in-app ads for your non-paying users and potentially you paying users as well, whether you've got rewarded in there, rewards. And that's providing opportunity to monetize your entire user base. Third is primordial to consider the right ad frequency and the right design flow for your ads. And remember, A/B testing is the key here. And lastly, if you're considering to launch a hybrid casual, building an advanced economy, having the right progression vectors, and more importantly, understand what motivates the players is really, really key to build your IAP monetization strategy here. So how can you get started today? Well, to get started today, or to find more resources and case studies, you'll find some very useful links on here. We've got guides about those monetization best practices for casual and hyper-casual games. They're available at fb.me/game-monetization. We've also got a great supercharger game hub here built out by our marketing team. It's available at fb.me/superchargergame, all lowercase, all attached. So guys, that's it from me today. I really hope it was useful. And yeah, I wish you all a great rest of the conference. Thank you so much for your time.